What's poppin' YouTube? It's your boy Sabby. Welcome to another episode of Self Mastery. In today's episode, I will be discussing 7 money lessons or 7 wealth principles that are shared in the book The Richest Man in Babylon. Now, this book was written in 1926 by George S. Clason, and it's pretty much a guide on financial advice through a collection of parables set in ancient Babylon around 4,000 years ago. Now, at that time, Babylon was the richest city in the world, situated next to the Euphrates River. Many wealthy individuals resided within that city. They knew how to save, invest, and circulate money very well. And so these principles are a direct reflection of their knowledge. Now, I recently finished reading this book. However, I was aware of these lessons before I started the book. And so I have incorporated these lessons into my life. I have seen tremendous changes in my own personal finances. And I do believe, and I do know that if you guys can sort of live in accordance with these principles, you will see a lot of changes in your personal finances as well. Your daily budgeting, your weekly and monthly budgeting, but also you will learn how to build future generational wealth. And I think that's one of the most important things a person can do in his or her life. Also know that these 7 principles, yes, they come directly from the book, but I will be interpreting them in my own way and sharing my experiences as well. So please stay tuned until the end of this video. There is just a bunch of information. Without further ado, let's get started. So lesson number 1 that is shared in The Richest Man in Babylon is to save 10% of your income. Now, around 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Obviously, the other 20% are well off. They have their own businesses. They're entrepreneurs. They're CEOs. They're doing well. But the other 80%, right, whatever paycheck comes in, this is what they do, right? They pay the rent. They pay the utilities, which is gas, water, electricity. They pay all of that. Then there's groceries, there's food, there's gas in terms of, driving their car. Then they probably have a car payment, and then whatever's left over, they'll use for, the kids, or they'll use for eating out or shopping, clothing, whatever. And so they're left with nothing at the end of that pay period, right? Until their next paycheck. That's why most people don't have any money in their savings, right? I'm not sure what the statistic is, but it's up there that most Americans can't even, afford a $500 or $600 car expense. Maybe their car breaks down. They can't afford it because they don't have that money sitting in their savings. Now, if you guys are aware, one of the things that Dave Ramsey teaches also is to build a $1,000 emergency fund. That's very important, right? And the only way you can do that is to save some portion of your income, set that aside and put that in your savings for any emergency. And really, so the richest man in Babylon, that's what they're really trying to teach us in the first principle, is that, emergencies can happen. And obviously that's, step number 1. Emergencies can happen. So definitely you want to have some money set aside. And so saving 10% minimum is crucial for that. Also in the future, right, if you ever lose your job, or, you ever move states, or anything can happen, there's no such thing as job security, right? Or even if you have a business and your business for some reason just goes underhill or underwater, right? And you can't afford it anymore and you don't have any money saved, you can pretty much be out on the streets, So that's why it's important that no matter what you have going on, whether it's a job, whether it's a business, whether you have passive income, that you're saving at least 10% from every single source of income that you do have, and it's going in your savings, because, the later principles will discuss why it's important, but also, you want to be secure. You want to have money in your wallet. It's the cure to a lean purse or a lean wallet. You want to have something in there. And also, if you guys know, the more money that you have saved up, the more money it attracts through vibrational accordance. So definitely principle number one, save at least 10% of your income. It's really not that hard. All you have to do is when you get your paycheck, right, give yourself 10%. So if you're making $3,000 a month, you give yourself $300, put that in your savings. The rest, $2,700 that you're left with, for example, that's what you're going to be living off of. And this is a mindset shift you're going to have to make, because in the beginning, you're going to find it difficult because you're going to be like, oh, I have creditors calling me. I have bills to pay, this and that. You'll take care of that. You'll take care of that for sure. And principle number two, which I'm about to get into, will sort of help you with that as well. But you will take care of your bills. You'll take care of your creditors, and everything will work out for you. But make sure you pay yourself first. You pay everybody else, but why don't you pay yourself? Right? And that's a great question you should ask yourself. But let us get into principle number two, or money lesson number two, shared from the richest man in Babylon, is live below your means. So then again, this sort of ties in with the first principle as well, because if you're paying yourself first, like I just mentioned, right, you have $3,000 a month, and $300 of that goes into your savings. The $2,700 that you're left with, guess what you're going to do, right? You're going to pay the most important things, whatever that may be to you: your rent, your car, your utilities, your food, your gas, and then whatever's left, that's what you do whatever with, And so you have to learn to live below your means, because a lot of times, just because we see, oh, I'm getting this amount of money per month, I can, take the rest and spend it on frivolous things. I can, live a little bit more lavishly. I can, buy this, buy that, go out to eat at this steakhouse and that, seafood place and that and this, So obviously, I'm not saying that you shouldn't enjoy life, because you should. But obviously, if you're in a spot right now where you're trying to build financial wealth, where you're trying to become a better, student of finances, then yes, you have to live below your means for a while. It might be, a few months. It could be 6 months. It could be up to a year. It could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, as long as it takes you to get yourself to a level where then you can live more comfortably, but also have money saved up, also have some assets, also have some investing going on. All of that stuff is important. But for a while, you're going to have to live below your means. So you're going to have to budget. You're going to have to sort of cut out expenses that are not necessary, right? If you don't need the shoes right now, don't buy them. If you don't need the vacation right now, don't take it. If you don't need, the Louis, the Gucci, then don't think about that, Rather, just pay what's necessary right now, because obviously we have our wants, we have our needs, but focus on your needs first, right? And then later on in the future, you can think about the wants when you have some extra money coming in. But like I mentioned, lesson number two is live below your means. I know that it's sort of hard with this, whole keeping up with the Joneses culture. People are always trying to show off, always trying to outdo another, always trying to compete, always, looking to keep up, with your friends or the people on social media, on Instagram, because, people are going to flaunt, people are going to sort of show off everything that they have going on. And there's that feeling of missing out, FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. And so because of that, you're going to spend money to keep up with them, and you're broke, you're in debt. And that's not a good thing, One thing that the book also states is that the borrower is always a slave to the lender. Remember that, right? So if you are in debt right now, technically you're pretty much working as a slave to pay off the lender, And that's really what people were back in the day. If you think about indentured servants, they literally were in debt, and they had to work, I don't know how many months or years to pay off their laborers in order to get their freedom, And in a way, we're slaves if you're, in debt because you're trying to live this lifestyle that you can't even afford. Anyways, that's principle number two. Principle number three, make your money multiply. Also invest, right? So basically all the money that you've been saving up from principle number one, Now you're going to use that money to work for you and to multiply itself. Now, investing is very important if you want to be a wealthy individual or even just a rich individual, you know? And the reason is because money sitting in the bank is actually depreciating over time because of inflation. So what you want to do is you want to invest your money, and you can invest in stocks, you can invest in real estate, you can invest in mutual or index funds, you can invest for retirement. There's so much you can invest in, but you ultimately want to get that money to work on your behalf, because this is the thing. As a human being, you only have 24 hours in a day, and in those 24 hours you can only do so much limited work, right? Along with doing other things that life requires from you. And so from doing that limited work, you can only make a limited amount of money if you're considering the fact that, you know, hours equals pay. Now, with you investing, right, you're making that money work on your behalf without you having to give any additional time to make that money or to make that kind of money. Rather, that money's making money for you. Hopefully that makes sense, right? So investing is very crucial, and as that book states, right, don't just have money sitting in your bank account. Rather, find a good place to have that money invested in, right? And there's a bunch of places you can invest money. Do your research. There's many books on investing, like The Intelligent Investor. But also, you know, check out videos on YouTube. Many people talk about investing, so that's something you should definitely be actively participating in. But let's get to principle number 4. Principle number 4, guard your treasure or guard your money from any loss. Now, the best way to do this is, as the book proclaims, don't invest in anything you don't know anything about, right? And that's really the important lesson, because a lot of us, we are driven by trends. We're driven by fads. We're driven by the fact that, hey, our friend is investing in this, or, you know, somebody told me, hey, I should put my money in that, or I should put my money in this. And we don't even have any knowledge of what we're investing in. Right? Like look at some of these latest fads like NFTs or Bitcoin. And I'm not trying to undermine any of these things. You know, obviously they have their importance, they have their status, their place in the financial market. But if you don't know anything about it, you know, if you're new to the game, then don't just blindly put all your money in there, you know, or don't just blindly give people your money and you don't even know what it's all about. So definitely do your own research, but also consider going to people that actually know what they're talking about. Now, would you go to a doctor for law advice? No, you wouldn't, right? Or would you go to a cook to learn how to do plumbing? No, right? So don't just go to your friend who's not a financial advisor and get advice from him just because he read 1 or 2 books on investing, right? That's my thing. So you always want to go to a person that knows what he or she is talking about, that knows very well the subject that you know, he or she has studied for many years. You want to go to that kind of person. You want to go to someone that can accurately and in a proper way help you and guide you into where you should invest your money. And that's honestly the most important thing, because if you don't, then you're pretty much putting that money up for free. Like it's subject to loss. It's subject to be taken away from you because you don't have that wisdom. You don't have that knowledge of what you really need to do in order to protect that money. So always be careful of what you're investing into, where you're getting your financial advice from, who you're getting your financial advice from. And if anything, do your own research and don't invest into anything unless you feel comfortable that you know not somewhat, but a lot about what you're investing into. So that's where, you know, you should definitely be cautious. Principle number 5, own your own house and own your own home. Now, why is this one important? Let me tell you something. Many people will debate this principle. They will see this as controversial. Some people say that owning a house, has a lot of expenses like property tax, or there's upkeep, there's maintenance costs, it's cheaper to rent. In big metropolis cities like New York, buying a house is very expensive, and it's way just more affordable to rent a small apartment or something like that, and I get that, and it also depends on your situation. But ultimately, owning your own house is, in my personal experience and belief, because I'm also a realtor, but also I know that real estate will always appreciate because it's tangible, and it's always appreciated ever since humanity has been in existence, right? Real estate has never ever gone down in anything. I will say always own your own house because, one, a mortgage, in my personal opinion, is always better than paying rent because you're building equity. And that equity over time will appreciate in value. You're going to have money in that property. Not only that, after that, for example, 15 or 30-year loan, whatever kind of loan you have, or whatever kind of mortgage you have, once that big expense is paid off, all the income you earn after that goes directly into your savings, right? If anything. And if anything, I think upkeep and maintenance is not that much compared to how much renting would be if you were still renting at that age, right? And also, I think if you have multiple businesses going on, I think owning your own house is the smartest financial decision you can make. On top of that, you can give this property to your wife. You can leave it behind for your kids. There's so much you can do with it. You can rent it out in the future. Maybe you can move to a different place and rent it out. And also in various countries around the world, I know property tax is high in America, but in countries like in Asia, certain, countries like that, property tax is not that much. So owning your own house makes way more sense than renting. So I believe this to be a great principle, and I highly stick by it that yes, you should own your own house. You should own your own home. Obviously, depends on your situation. Also depends on where you are in terms of your like what kind of job you have going on, where you're living. Are you living in like the dead center of downtown because your job is there, or also, are you in debt? Do you have good credit? Like, can you even afford a house? Can you even get approved for a mortgage? All these things do matter. So I get the debate. I get that, why people would be saying that, this is controversial. But at the end of the day, do what suits you. Do what I feel like, is best for you. I personally believe that owning a home or owning your own home is the best thing you can possibly do, because there's so much you can do with it. Anyways, let's move on to principle number 6, ensure a future income for yourself. The reason that's important is because you see, when we're young, we have energy, we have vitality, we have youth, we have so much. And because of that, we can work to earn money. But as we get older, as we develop, sickness, diseases, these things are inevitable to happen to everybody. People, unless you have great genes, or unless you take great care of yourself, you're going to get to a point where you're tired, you're weak, you can't work as vigorously anymore. You can't work with the same kind of zest as you once did. And so you want to be set for the future. You want to make sure that you have something going on, to the point where, you can be in your 60s and 70s, or even up to your 80s or 90s and have money coming in. Now, you can't always rely on Social Security. You can't always rely on a pension. I'm not even sure if every job even gives you a pension. That's something you have to find out for yourself. But there are things that you can ensure, like setting up a retirement account, setting up life insurance that pays you, with cash value, setting up something. Could be a Roth IRA, could be a 401k, could be an IRA, right? But you want to make sure you're investing money into a retirement account. You're investing money for your future, right? Maybe it could be annuities, something, because when you get to that age, you don't want to be the greeter at Walmart, right? You don't want to be the person that's, sweeping floors at the age of 60, right? I mean, God forbid, anybody that is going through that, my heart goes out to them, and shout out for working hard. But also you sort of have to secure yourself for the future. You need to have a game plan for the future. You can't just always think about now or just having fun now. You also have to think about how you're going to be when you're at that age. So always ensure you have a future income, and also, if you do save money in a Roth IRA, for example, it's the quickest way to be a millionaire, especially if you start younger. And even if you don't use all that money, you can, give it to your kids. You can forward it to, your family, whatever. But at least you had that money saved up. You can travel at that time. You can do so much with your life at that time, but always ensure that you have a future income. Principle number 7. This one is very important. Invest in yourself. Investing in yourself, I feel like, is very, very important. This could be investing in an education, right? Further educating yourself, investing in skills, right? Keep reading books of finances, keep reading books on psychology, keep reading books on sales, keep reading books on how to build a business, how to get a business going, how to establish a business, how to prosper your business, how to make your business thrive. Invest in learning more and more daily, right? Invest in seminars, invest in learning from some of the best teachers out there, invest in a mentor, invest in courses, invest in just anything you can to further your mindset, to further your skill set, to further, everything that you have to offer of value to the marketplace, to society, because the law of compensation, like Emerson talks about, is the more value you provide to people, the more your income will be, right? And so that's really the biggest thing that I will say is keep investing in yourself, keep taking that money and, furthering your education with that. Because it's very important. It's only going to guarantee that you get a higher income, therefore higher savings, higher investments, and for the future you'll be set. And so that's really what it comes down to, is investing in yourself. But these are the 7 principles that are shared in The Richest Man in Babylon. I'll go through them once again. Number 1, save 10% of your income. Pay yourself first. Always remember that. Number 2, live below your means. Always live below your means. And it's not necessary to keep up with the Joneses at all. Forget about them. They're not going to do you any favors in life. Number 3, make your money multiply. So basically invest, whether it's stocks, whether it's mutual funds or index funds, whether it's, real estate, whatever, invest for sure. Number 4, guard your money or protect your money from losses. So basically don't invest in anything you don't know anything about. Don't take advice from people that don't even know what they're talking about, or they're not a professional in that particular field. Number 5, own your house, own your own home, right? It's better than renting in a lot of scenarios, right? Do your own research, figure out your situation, but at the end of the day, you want to have a property, you want to have a house under your name. It's very crucial. I believe that to be very true. Number 6, ensure your future income. So make sure you're set for the future. Make sure you're setting up retirement accounts. Make sure you have money set aside. Make sure you're investing money into these accounts like a Roth IRA or a 401k, especially if you have a job and you have the employer match. Take advantage of that. And number 7, invest in yourself. So that means you further your education, you further your skills, you learn what you need to learn. If you need to take college classes, you go take them. If you need to take online courses, you take them. If you need to read books, go to the library, do all of that, right? If you need to disappear for 6 months up to a year, 2 years to really, hone in on your craft, hone in on your business, do it because it's necessary to do so. So these have been the 7 principles from The Richest Man in Babylon. I know for a fact that these are valuable principles, valuable lessons. I know you learned a lot from this. And if you implement even some of these in your life will change, guaranteed. So give this video a thumbs up. I know you definitely found a lot of value from this video. Subscribe to my channel for a lot more content. But also I will say, share this video with anybody you feel like can use this information. Maybe a loved one, maybe someone who's, maybe someone who's not really good with money, someone who could use money help. share this video with them, and also share the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, with them, because it's a wonderful book. I'll post the audio book link in the description below. And thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of Self Mastery. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Peace.